Okay, Beyond the Gates fans, here we are with Tuesday's episode. Yeah, this recap is well, a little bit later than usual. That's because my entire evening was dedicated to the Zatima season 4 trailer breakdown. If you have not watched that, look, it's a 45-minute video where I go into extreme detail and theories about what to expect in season 4. Very good trailer, very juicy. Check it out. Also, side note, a couple people say, "Hey Jeremy, did you accidentally upload the Zatima video about, Madam getting revenge over Fatima getting shot on this channel by mistake?" It was no mistake. Actually, I might start. Look, I know this is a separate channel that's supposed to be non-Tyler Perry, but in an effort to get the numbers up, I'm just going to sporadically post videos on this channel that are related to Tyler Perry's sisters and Zatima every now and then, just to keep the algorithm moving. Don't get me wrong, Beyond the Gates is consistent, but it wouldn't hurt to have a couple videos over here, a couple extra videos that do more than just 1,000 views per month, So you can expect a couple extra videos. And no, it's not like I'm recording one video and then posting them both to different channels. YouTube doesn't like this. That's why it's a separate video from what I talk about on the main channel. So like I said, it's not going to be an everyday thing. It's like every now and again. So into the episode, I'm giving it a solid 9 out of 10. I enjoyed it. So Leslie is, I think a lot of us could relate to this. She's dropping bills in the trash like it was junk mail because she ain't worried about it. And I'm just thinking like, wow, what about that money Ted gave you? So like, are you not using that for, I guess she's too busy buying wigs and purses as opposed to taking care of her responsibilities. So Eva comes in with some groceries, and it turns out that Leslie came across a letter about an apparent inheritance. And as Leslie's about to chuck the paper into the trash, Eva wants to know more about it. And she look, I guess it takes a con to know a con, but Leslie feels like this letter is nothing but a scam. It's because she's received it a few other times in the past too. But Eva reminds her that she's already wasted all of the money Ted gave her on wigs, which of course confirmed my point from a few moments ago. Now, that's when her daughter says, "Look, I mean, why don't you try to be more self-sufficient?" And then that's when Leslie's like, stupid people deserve to be taken advantage of. So from there, Eva calls her out for her entitlement. And the thing is, she has to tab to pay for liquor at the store. And then Leslie just leaves in a huff. And after she walks out, that's when Eva takes a look into the trash for herself. And by the time Leslie comes back, Eva's gone along with that letter. And it turns out that she's meeting up with an old pal, Tomas, at Uptown to get some legal advice about, these letters to see if they're legit or not. And Tomas does mention how he hopes they can continue being friends because despite everything, he still likes her. But she rightfully mentions his constraints with her sister. And that's when he takes a look at his watch, but then Kat's like, "Oh, what, you're late meeting my cat?" And he's like, "Oh, no, it's not that." And wants to know, like, what did you want to show me? So that's when she pulls the letter out. And after reading it over, Tomas does mention how letters like this are usually a scam, but this could also be legit. So by the time Eva gets home, Leslie already knows what's going on. And that's when Eva explains that, yeah, the person I showed this to mentions how this is a chance for you to take advantage of this lottery ticket because it might not be a scam. It might be legit. Why not make the call from the number on the paperwork and see what's going on? But the thing is, to avoid it being a scam, just in case, don't give over any like sensitive information. Just simply, ask why you got the letter, who's it coming from, that kind of stuff. So after making a phone call to a legal office, they answer saying that they never thought they'd get, in contact with her because remember, Leslie said she's gotten many letters like this before, but, she wasn't sure if they were real or not. So Leslie might be coming into some money. And the question is, how much and what is she going to do with it? That's the bigger question. Now, over at Smitty and Martin's, Smitty's over there trying to find his phone, and the kids are helping out. That's when Martin shows up with a bunch of pizzas and says that he got Smitty's text about bringing food over to the house. And of course, it seems that that's why his phone was missing. The kids took his phone and texted Martin, and yeah, that's when Samantha pretty much, admits to the situation about how she purposefully texted Martin, in an attempt to get their dads together. And that's when they sit and talk about the anti-bullying bill that Martin introduced. And I think that's a callback to, Terrell's situation with the boxer's picture from, earlier in the series. So that's when Smitty starts, going at it and accuses Martin of using the kids in order to, justify the situation. But as they're going back and forth, Terrell speaks up. Look, instead of the arguing, how about we just, get rid of the tension with what we usually do, playing spades like we do on pizza night. So they play, and Smitty and Samantha win, and they all have a good laugh, like, everything's cool. But I think that's sad. It's good, but sad that the kids were able to kind of I know they're they're almost college age, but I guess I just still call them kids though. The kids know how to kind of disperse the tension between their dads, but it just sucks because they go through this a lot, watching their dads go back and forth, that they at this point is routine. They know how to, cut the tension with a knife. Now, over at Orphe Jeans, Regina pops up again to meet with Naomi and Jacob, and this is interesting because remember, Regina said she didn't want to be contacted again the last time she was here. So they talked to her about how after meeting June, they developed a bit of a soft spot for her and they really want to help out. But that's when Regina speaks up, calling her sister a lost cause, and the fact that she can't forget how her sister abandoned her niece and nephew. But that's when Naomi asked is there any way we could see if what about reconnecting with the kids, But that's when Regina's like, well, it's been, time has passed since then. And the thing is, the adoption agency is closed and they're gone. So after pulling out an envelope, Naomi asked her to take a look inside. And apparently that paperwork consists of the preliminary adoption information. Now, Regina is reluctant to get her hopes up, but Naomi insists that, look, this is a start and maybe this can point us in the right direction. So it won't hurt to try. And the thing is, maybe the kids want to know their mom and their aunt. So Regina, still reluctant, doesn't know because of the fact that, well, I lost my sister to her addictions, and then from there I lost my niece and nephew, and I don't know if my heart can take any more pain like that. But the thing is, I do have to move on. But she does hand a box of June's junk, as she calls it, and Naomi reads a letter, but June says it's all gibberish. So from there, I'm sorry, but Regina's like, the letter itself sounds like gibberish. So Naomi urges her to give the stuff to June herself as a final, gesture, like, a final farewell. Regina does mention that, okay, but if she's gone by the time they get back, then I'll just leave it at the counter over there. So as they're leaving, that's when Naomi tells Jacob about how she saw a Hail Mary in the letter, and the fact that he kind of switches things up by talking about the Duprees. But the thing was, she won't tell him about anything, and they admit that they need to unpack this stuff once they get home. And this is an allusion to a line that a lot of people have been talking about. And that's the fact that Jacob's like, you Duprees, because when he brings up the whole cover-up situation and finding out about his own father's hand in the cookie jar, so to speak, that's when he asks, like, so did you speak to your grandparents? Yeah, well, my grandfather gave me $1, and Jacob was able to put 2 and 2 together, like, yeah, okay, y'all bending the rules, and your Vernon has your own retainer. So a lot of fans have speculated this, and I've brought it up a couple of times myself, but at some point, the conflict of interest between their professions and their personal life. Basically, Jacob being a stickler for the law and Naomi being one to bend the law to her own desires is going to cause a clash at some point, and they might get a divorce. And, you know, Elon called out Jacob for being a hypocrite, and it's not often, I don't think, you know, aside from Jacob himself, I don't think anybody's really called out Naomi, because especially for how many times she calls out her dad or tries to weaponize the whole, well, you cheated on mom, when she's trying to make a point. So she's really no better. Now, from there, Naomi does manage to get June and bring her to the diner. And, well, Regina's still there. So the sisters go back and forth. And that's when Naomi tries to calm things down and, you know, tells June to get the box. So that's when Naomi shows June the letter, but she can't remember anything. And as she reads it, she explains it's about the kids from the photo, and then she starts breaking down. And she admits to messing up and the fact that she was an awful mother. So Naomi's like, oh, no, you weren't. And you made a sacrifice. And the thing is, you made the sacrifice by calling protective services to get them so they'll have the protection they needed as opposed to being out there on the streets. So that's when Regina wishes that she got the phone call instead, but knows that they didn't, you know, believe in each other at the time. So it was a sacrifice that meant a lot. So from there, the sisters kind of reconcile, and she was out of her head June was out of her head at the time and couldn't really consider Regina as an option. But Naomi does promise to find the kids, but she needs June's permission first. And June gives the thumbs up, and it's a sweet moment between her and Regina. And Regina invites June to come home with her. So after they leave, that's when Jacob comes back to the diner and tells Naomi that after visiting the foster home, Terrell and Samantha are actually June's kids. So, wow, a plot point most of us had guessed 40 episodes ago is now confirmed. Now, to round things out, we're going to talk about Bill and Haley. So they're over at the house, and Haley tries to get Bill to go back to work. And she recognizes how in demand he is, you know, at his job, and she's okay with being left alone. So they need to get back to their normal. It's kind of funny because in Beyond the Gates, Haley lost a baby, and then in Sisters, Karen lost one of her babies, and they both need to get her adjusted to their new normal. And he mentions how they ought to just get out of the house and go somewhere for dinner. And Haley mentions that she wants to go to the hospital. And the thing is, she wants to go see Dr. Macy. So the conversation she wants to have is about them trying to have another baby. And she needs to know whether or not she can get pregnant again. And the thing is, Bill, you know, tries to reassure her that, look, you haven't messed anything up, and we have time to get the answers to those questions. So he tries to alleviate her, but she's really going on and on about how, no, I want the answers right now. So after going to the hospital, Dr. Macy joins them and explains that something like this can wreak havoc on your hormones. So Bill mentions how instead of going through this right now, why don't we just delay the exam? But Haley wants to go through it. So Bill, thankfully, will not leave Haley's side throughout this entire process. So once the exam is over, the doctor says everything looks good and they can try for another baby in about 3 months. So Haley tells Bill that, you know, she loves him and wants to show him how much by trying to make another baby so they can start a family. And he mentions how you don't have to do it for me, but she says, oh, I'm doing it for us. So that's how the episode closes. And yeah, another decent episode for this week. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.